Okay, we're going to connect to our data source, which is an Excel file. So if I go to Microsoft Excel in Tableau and connect to my NFL offensive statistics file, you can see it there, and I'll open it. Now we see that there are a number of tabs or sheets within that workbook in Excel. And the one we want is the 1999 to 2013 data. So we drag it into the drag sheets here area. And we see that it's a list of players and their statistics and even their draft statistics. So what they bench pressed, their vertical leap, and their shuttle time, their Wonderlic test, all of the things from the draft. So what we want to do is we go to worksheet 1. Give it a second to catch up. Okay, so now we're in sheet 1. Now, let's say our question was very simply, we want to first look at players. Okay, so my data source is entered in, and now I want to go to my worksheet. And here I'm looking to find out how many quarterbacks came from each college who played in the NFL between the years 1999 and 2013. And so the first thing I'll do is add college to rows. So I drag college over here to rows, and that gives me my list of colleges. Now, the next thing I want to do is filter out the null, 0, and these 3 draft indicators because they are not colleges. So now if I go to college and I go to show filter or go to filter, what I want to do is remove null, 0, 2006, 2007, and 2010 NFL drafts because those are not colleges. So now I have a list of all colleges. Okay. Now I'm interested in the next step, which is finding out the players and then filtering by position. So I can take players and pull players into text. And we see that I have a list of each player on offense who came from that school, which can in and of itself be a nice little visual, but this is still very text heavy and it's not really telling me what I want. So one of the things I can do to filter this down even more is I go to player and I'm looking for numbers. So I go to player and I pull up the little chevron in the pill and I go to measure. And what I'm looking for is distinct count. Distinct count in this case simply means that we only count each player one time. If their name's on the list, we count them once. Because on this list, right, we're entering player information for every year that player played. And that's great, but if we're looking for the total number of players on offense who come from each school, we can't have the duplication. So we need to find the distinct count, and that's where we can get players there. Okay, so we have the distinct count. In the exercise in your book, the number of records here, right, that was a measure used to get that distinct count in the exercise in the book. The reason I wanted to show this is not every time will you get that result from number of records. Sometimes you have to think about the question you're asking and then find the right categories to pull, which is why I wanted to use this as a specific example. Okay, so now we have college. We have the specific number or distinct count of players who've come from each college. So curiosity, if I want to sort from highest to lowest, I go to field in the sort, the count distinct by players. So what I see here is on offense, Notre Dame has sent 48 players, distinct players, and they've played in the NFL during this time span, only followed by Miami of Florida, Michigan, Florida, Ohio State, USC, Florida State, and so on. Now I want to find quarterbacks. So I take fan position, which is the position that the players have played, and I filter it. So I go to filter, and here I get to choose. Quarterback, okay. And what we see here is we get to see that list. Very quickly we've managed to narrow this down. Now if I wanted to show this on a graph, here we go. So in this case, I think a bar, a horizontal bar chart works very well here for the visualization. We could try this, and it looks kind of cool on the one hand. On the other, we don't get to really see all the other schools, so the old-fashioned horizontal bar chart works well here. So now, let's say we want to be able to show some other things. So for example, what if we wanted to also show the average Wonderlic score, which is a test they take during the draft? Okay, we take Wonderlic and we drag it. And let's say we drag that Wonderlic to columns. If that doesn't work, how about here? That doesn't work. How about here? Wonderlic in columns again. And here, what we go to is rows, and I take the count player out of columns, and there. We got 32 nulls. We'll exclude the nulls. So here I have two pieces of information being graphed. So I have the Wonderlic, and I also want to show the overall number of players. And I want the count back. Let's see, count. There we go. So the bar here shows the distinct number of, or count of players from each school. And here we see the Wonderlic. Now, what we're seeing is a sum of all the Wonderlic test scores produced by the students from those schools, and particularly the quarterbacks. So what I want here is I want to filter that, or the measure, to be the average Wonderlic score. And now I want to sort this. And so we have one player from Harvard whose average Wonderlic score was 48, and so on down. So what we can see here is we can sort by Wonderlic score. Because we made that the column, we can sort on that. Okay. We can see here that there were players who had 0 as a Wonderlic score. It's usually because they didn't take it, and that's the reason why. Do here, and let's say we wanted to also show the football conference they came from at the same time. So if I was to go here and look for the football conference, here we go, that's a dimension. But let's say I grab that and put it in color. So here it shows the football conference they came from, the number of players each school have, the number of quarterbacks each school has sent to the NFL and who played during that period of time. And then here, this bar actually measures the average Wonderlic score out of that school. So in this very short moment, I've been able to convey a number of pieces of key information to my audience in a fairly easy way. So now I need to label my sheet here. We'll say this is NFL quarterbacks and their schools, 1999 to 2013. Okay. And so now you can also look to see here. Now let's say I want to generate an image for this. So I can take it and I can save it as an image or export it as an image. Under the worksheet menu, I want that format. There we go, NFL quarterbacks 99 to 2013, and I've shared this with you. And so now you can see how we make this visual.